2025年，越来越多人想创业，但残酷的是，只有17%的人能熬过第一年。今天的嘉宾就是这当中最特别的一位，他没有背景，没有资金，却把跟妈妈在餐桌上串珠的小爱好，变成了一个价值3亿元的全球珠宝品牌。他是知名英国首饰品牌 Missoma 的创始人 Marisa Hordern。今天我会跟他聊聊他完整的创业心路和那些决定创业成败的关键。
How did it all begin?
It began 18 years ago. I started out literally beating around the kitchen table with my mother. As you said, it was a hobby. Once I actually started selling to shops, I was sort of mid-20s. But at the beginning, I must have tried knocking on about 20 different factories. And it wasn't just in Thailand. I went to Bangkok, I went to Jaipur, I went all around, and I was there alone, completely out of my comfort zone. I actually had never traveled alone before.
And I can't imagine, because back then you didn't even have any digital tools, like a proper search engine for you to get the information.
Yeah, it was scary, but it was also really, gosh, I loved that challenge.
And I also remember a story that you shared before. So with limited budget in the beginning, you literally slept in a student spare room that with the cat litter right next to your head. How was that experience like?
Because I couldn't afford anything else. My money had been stolen. So it was a student who was renting out their spare room. And I arrived and it was literally a futon on the floor, which is fine. But there was this cat litter next door and I don't know, it really smelt of like, you know. So yeah, those kind of particular experiences. But you know, you're young and you're doing things that your friends and your peers are not doing.
Because you had a very solid job before starting your own business, right?
We were saying we had similar career paths.
Yeah, in the very early days, I was also in the luxury industry and you were working at Richmond, right?
Exactly.
So you had a very decent job. Because for me, back then, I was so scared of having no income. So I only dared to fully start my own business when I see a bit success and when I literally saving up for 2 years.
Yeah.
How did you find your courage back then? Because you had a very decent job.
I think that quality of life is really important. You have to enjoy what you do. The point is, I had been doing my beading and my jewelry kind of hand making, as I said, around the kitchen table for about 2 years. So like you, I had built it up. And I had built it up to a point where we were selling and selling and selling and actually couldn't keep up with demand. What I realized, there was a gap in the market for really fashion-forward led jewelry that was great quality, but also affordable. And I know it sounds silly saying it now, but 18 years ago, there really weren't any brands doing this. It was a new category in between fine and fashion, this category. So I realized there was real potential for it. And I didn't just quit without knowing that.
So you're actually doing both at the same time for a period of time?
Yes.
That's smart.
I think that's what most people do.
I think so.
Yeah.
And you often describe those 7 years of starting Missoma as a year of wilderness. Did you ever think about giving up during those tough times?
Oh, yes. I mean, a million times. I did actually, at 30, take a sort of season off where I actually closed the business. I just had burnout. And I went traveling. I went around South America. I went ice trekking at Calafate. But I came back and I realized it was the only thing I wanted to do.
At what point did things start to take off for Missoma?
I think it was about 2014. So that's when we went to social media very early, when people weren't yet really building their social media channels.
Yeah.
And so we were showing a lifestyle, how to layer, how to wear your jewelry, how to live in your jewelry, and inspiring, well, customer.
Missoma 是最早用社交媒体去做营销的那批品牌，但真正让它火出圈的是那种人人想学却又难以复制的迭代风。
Missoma is such a pioneer in the layering look, right? It's very iconic, but it's not easy.
It's not easy.
Right. Sometimes it can be either too much or a little bit mismatched. Do you have a go-to formula for us to create a layering look?
I have my own formula, but I do think everyone has their own, and I think that there are no rules. I think the most important thing is to find what is your base chain. What is your everyday chain that you never need to take off, and then you can have a couple of other chains in your wardrobe that you can play with, and then you can, you know, add to if you want.
在还没人知道什么是博主营销的年代，他就率先找知名博主和创业人士推出联名系列，让 Missoma 的珠宝出现在无数明星和时尚造型当中。
How did that idea come up?
I think that was very much a point in time where I was looking to connect more with our customer. How can we show up differently? In those days it was bloggers. We also set up not just our website but also went online. And it was in the days of, for example, Net-a-Porter, when they said you're never going to sell luxury clothing online. People were saying the same about jewelry. You're never going to sell jewelry online. So all of those areas were quite new. Not a risk, but we were kind of at the forefront of it, exploring it.
I think as an entrepreneur, you always need to keep an eye on all the trends that's going on and leverage all kind of opportunities.
I don't think you're always going to be ahead on everything, but I do think, as you said when you watch them, if you are a bit behind them, you need to know how and when to pivot and adapt quickly.
Right.
How only through challenging yourself, only how by pushing yourself and trying new things and being adventurous and not being afraid to fail.
And before you were mentioning burnout, right? It's quite common among those entrepreneurs who experience burnout. I also experienced that a few times. Do you have any tips for the entrepreneur how to prevent themselves from working too much if they're also a high achiever?
I think it's not about working too much. I think it's about working smartly. And I think that it's trying to be really focused with what you are doing when you are working, trying to really prioritize, even just going into a meeting. What's the agenda? What's the objective? Who's making notes? Who's responsible?
I think the key is also to have very high self-awareness, to notice if there's anything goes off. If you were to start a business again today, what would you do differently compared to before?
I would do it with a partner because I think it's really good to have the yin to your yang. It needs to be someone who has the opposite skill set to yourself.
To complement you.
I do think you have to look at it like a job interview for each other. Let's do some questions for each other on how would we do this? How would we think? How would we show up?
That's smart.
And also, we need to say, right, what can I bring to the table? And lay out, right, this is my expertise. This is where I feel confident. This is the area I want to be working in. You need to literally map out everything contractually. So it has to be a relationship of trust because it literally is like a marriage.
But there is also a saying that never partner with a good friend.
So I think it's good to partner with an acquaintance, and I think it's fine to partner with a friend, but I don't think you should partner with one of your really, really, really good friends or best friends, because I wouldn't want to lose the friendship. Because I think you want to keep that separate. When you need to download, you don't want it even within that same friendship group when someone is needing to talk about challenges they're facing.
Many people today want to start their own business. How can they figure out what kind of business that truly suits them and where to start?
You need to go back and think, what's my hobby? What do I love doing? It might be a service, right? I think if you're an all-rounder and you're not sure, it's really important to go into a small or medium-sized company. And therefore, you get to see everything. Then you see which areas you like.
And when you were thinking to do a jewelry brand, what's your first step?
You research, obviously, the marketplace. Know your customer. That's the most important thing. Research the competitors. Research what they're not doing well. Understand where your product or service or brand will bring something different. And work out what your USP is. And also learning about all these different areas that it takes to run a business. Doesn't mean I don't hire other people now. I also still think you have to understand the basics of every department in order to be able to analyze the reports and what's working and what's not and what to lean into. And
I can totally relate to that. When I was first doing social media, I was also the one, like a one-man show. I did the filming,
the social media.
And I know editing, I did everything myself. That actually helps me a lot to build my own team later, because then I know who to choose. What would be the 3 most important lessons that you would share from your own experience?
I would say you have to trust your vision and your gut. My second advice, surround yourself by people who are experts in all the different departments so that you have a really good team that you can all lean on. And third is make sure that everyone is working really cross-departmentally, collaboratively.
How do you balance intuition and logic when making big decisions?
It doesn't mean that you don't listen to advice, but when you feel in your gut that something is wrong, you know the brand, you built the brand, you know the customer, you know your product, and that's when you need to push back.
When entering the Chinese market, we know Missoma was already profitable in their first year, which is rare.
Yes.
What do you think you have done especially well?
Then we've done research and work into applying some of our products specifically for the Chinese customer. So it might be sizing on rings, sizing on bracelets, and also on the weight of, let's say, our products. So we know that our Chinese customer wants something really light on her ears. I wear this every day, but this is a medium, so I think it's going to be a bit too big for you.
Oh, you have even sizes.
Yes, of course.
That's amazing.
This is an extra small. That's an S/M, and then we have a medium large. And now we also have our collaborations, like our collaboration with Savvy. She was one of our reference points when we looked at entering the Chinese market, and she gave us amazing advice.
So now Missoma has become a global brand. What still excites you now, and what dreams that you're still chasing?
So many things excite me. So retail, bricks and mortar, is now a new category for us because we were purely D2C before. And I'm always thinking about new categories and what are the complementary categories that we can bring into the Missoma world that just builds it and builds on it. And it doesn't need to just be jewelry. As I said, it's a lifestyle.
What about your personal dream?
Personal dreams. I would like to do more mentoring, and I'm starting to work with a charity in India that helps young women in the last sort of, in a way, to empower them to build their own careers in local towns, and that's really exciting.
That's such a beautiful vision. So it's not just creating jewelry, but also creating experiences and connections that last.
Exactly, experiences and connections that last. Couldn't have said it better.
So Marisa, thank you so much for taking time to share your stories and insight with us.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.